Hey, this is Mike from Minimal 3DP, and I want to welcome you back to the channel today. First, I want to get started by saying a great big thank you to Tripo 3.0 for sponsoring this video. And as always, although this video is sponsored, all opinions expressed are my own. To get started, today's project is personal for me. As many of you know, I recently, in the beginning of October, had heart surgery, and I've been recovering. If anybody's asked, I'm finally to the point that I'm feeling sort of like myself. In fact, I started physical therapy this week. So as I mentioned, this project is personal, and what I wanted to do was create a model to sort of commemorate everything. And so what I've done is created a 3D model of a human heart and then printed it out. And I want to show you, I used Tripo 3.0 to create this heart, export it, and then print it. And I want to show you my process on how I did things and honestly how easy it was and also how much great detail there is here. So with that being said, let's switch over and start taking a look. So let's start off by talking about Tripo 3.0 and what it is. It is an AI tool that can generate models from either text or images. The team claims that it's the cleanest, sharpest, and most detailed geometry in AI 3D space. And so that's a pretty bold claim. Now, from my experience, just playing around with it on my heart project, I gotta say that's pretty true. For me, it was generating models that were extremely detailed. I discovered that I can even get the program to help me refine my description and boil it down. I played around with trying a functional piece that I had a huge block of text describing, and basically it put it through, I believe, ChatGPT 4.0 and helped to boil down my description into something very manageable and helpful. So again, pretty interesting stuff. It does a pretty good job with imagery, and you can add multiple images, different angles, pretty cool stuff. I mentioned the idea of clean topology and less fixes needed. What this really means for us is that the models, once they're generated, don't need a whole lot of fixing. They're sort of just ready to go. Here's the heart I generated, and my gosh, look at that detail. And again, I'm just stunned by the amount of detail this is showing just by a simple text prompt. Again, pretty neat stuff. So what I'm going to show you is the workflow I use to get from idea to my model. Now, I should point out that Tripo 3.0 is particularly good at artistic models, figurines, things with it that maybe you would build in Blender as opposed to functional parts. But again, with these more realistic and artistic type models, I had really awesome success. So to start off, I just went with a simple prompt, and my prompt was create a model of a realistic human heart. And I had two choices. I could just go with the prompt, and then I could also add a picture. Picture I chose was this image right here from Wikipedia. Now, for this generation, I'm just going to generate this with just the text prompt. And I've also already submitted one with the text prompt and the image, so we could sort of see what the difference is between the two. Now, this takes a minute or two to process, so we'll give it a second and come right back. As I mentioned, these generate really quickly, approximately maybe 2 minutes. Now, on my first go through with this, I just said I wanted the human heart, and that just gave me the plain heart. Because I asked for a model of a 3D printed heart, and this is the one that's based off of both the image as well as the text prompt, what's awesome here is it actually gave me a little stand, which had I realized I could get the stand here, I would have gone with this model over the one that I printed that I had to use a whole heck of a lot of support. and I had an area where the support just made it not look that great. But as you can see, this is a really awesome model, really detailed. I can zoom in, I can rotate, move around. Overall, I'm just so impressed with the quality I'm seeing here. You can see the veins. In fact, the veins are coming out from the surface of the model. Again, really awesome stuff. And in particular, I really like the base because that gives me the option of, again, printing this because maybe I want to send this to my wife. Years ago, I 3D printed a realistic thyroid to commemorate her having her thyroid removed. She found it very romantic. But again, this type of model and the way this generated this, particularly how fast it was pretty dang incredible. Before I forget, I wanted to just point out that with just the text prompt, I got the heart itself, no stand. With the image, I got a little bit better, I guess, model for presentation. Both of them look awesome and incredible. Now, in order to get this into my slicer, down the bottom here, I have an export button. So I can hit that, and we have a variety of formats we can do. We could do 3MF, which should open in most slicers, STL, OBJ. I'll be honest, I've had better luck with the STL and the 3MF files than I have with the OBJ. Now, an OBJ has always been a problem for me. Now, what I would recommend is just using the 3MF file. So I'm just going to click that, and I'm going to hit the export button. This will take a minute, and then I'll be able to bring this right into my slicer. So this is just exporting, and it'll download here momentarily. And in fact, it's done downloading. I'm just going to click on it, and that should open my slicer. Let me rearrange my slicer so it's actually in the right window so you can see it. Point out one little thing I noticed with the 3MF files, the model comes in at a very reasonable size. I found the STLs, they come in a little bit small, so you do have to resize them. In order to resize the model, you just, particularly an Orca slicer, you just click on it, go up here to the scale. And in my case, I just want a uniform scale. I can go up here and bump this up. Let's do 300, and that bumps it up to 300 on every side. That's a really huge human heart that would take forever. I think maybe I want it down to, let's just do 75. So it's smaller and it'll be quicker to print. Now, as you can see, it looks pretty good. The one thing we'd want to do here as we're trying to print is we probably want to add support. So let me go over here. I'm going to turn on supports. I'm just going to do the default grid. Let's change that. Let's do slim tree supports. And I'm also going to go over here to other, and I'm going to put an outer brim, just again so that it adheres real well. So let's go ahead and slice this. Again, looks pretty good. According to this, this is going to take 1 hour and 21 minutes. Now, this is the model that has the stand. Let me show you the one I did with no stand so we can just take a look at it. So here's the heart I showed at the beginning of the video. Now, what I did in order to get this to print, and this has nothing to do with Tripo, is I clicked on it, I oriented it, and so it oriented in this fashion. And because of this, I went over and made sure I put on the tree support. I'm just going to do organic. And then I made sure that I had an outer brim. For me, I wanted this a little bit bigger. So I went up and just put this at 150%. Hit slice, and it sliced it. Again, fairly quickly. You'll notice I'm not getting any errors. Now, this is the orientation I did. Now, I will point out that particularly here in the back, it's a little messed up, but you can't see that in the model. And so let me show you the model printing, point out that this took 4 hours and 27 minutes. So again, pretty quick. And then we'll take a quick look at the final model. So after looking at the time lapse, here's the actual final model. And again, just point out that how detailed this is. All I had to do is pull off the supports. And again, that wasn't too bad. I will point out that here's where I had it laid down. And you can see the supports messed it up just a tiny little bit. But the way I present this model, you won't really see that anyway. And I think that was more a function not of the software, but of the way I generated the supports. And I think I could do a better job. Again, there's still supports to pull off here. And overall, I mean, I am really pleased with how this model looks and the tools Tripo gave me to do it. Just want to show a couple other things that they have here, some features that I didn't utilize but are worth noting. Now, I just touched the surface of the tools the website has. I need to point out that they've integrated Flux and GPT 4.0 into it, which lets you do a sketch to 3D. As I mentioned, I used that a little bit to play around with some other prompts. It has a lot of professional tools, retopology, segmentation. So it's not necessarily a hobbyist only tool, but this is a tool that could easily be used by pros to generate professional models. Let's go ahead and take a look at segmentation. So what I've done is I've used a prompt to create a model of a robot. And right now, I've clicked on segmentation. If you hover over the tools, it gives you a little bit of a tutorial. I'm going to go ahead down here to the bottom left and click Start Segmentation. So let me start that, and we'll come back in a couple minutes. So it took approximately 2 to 3 minutes to complete. And what's interesting about this feature is it's broken the model into various pieces. So I can work on various parts. I can combine them, move them around, edit parts, attach a new part. So again, pretty interesting and pretty handy. If I look at this, I can select the different parts and then, as I mentioned, merge them together. So again, a tool that's worthy of professional work, particularly if you were a modeler and use something like Blender or ZBrush. Again, I really like this software, and again, that opinion's my own, but I'm just really impressed with what I could do here. I used some AI models to generate models, again, maybe 2 years ago, and it was nothing like this. This was so easy to use and so powerful that I'm just frankly amazed. You should take a look if you get a chance. There's a discount code in the video descriptions. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Thank you again for joining me today.